Welcome to a tour of an animal cell. Today we will be learning about organelles and what job each organelle holds. In order to do this, we are going to take a tour through an animal cell. But first, before we enter, we must learn about the outside. In order to pass inside of an animal cell, we must pass through the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a flexible barrier between the cell and its surroundings that regulates what goes in and out of the cell. It is made of a double-layered sheet, also known as a lipid bilayer. The cell membrane also contains proteins as well as lipids. As you can see, some of the lipids are embedded into the lipid bilayer and also have carbohydrate molecules attached to them. Some of these proteins also end up forming channels and pumps that help to move material across the cell membrane in two ways, either passive transport or active transport. Passive transport does not require energy from the cell and goes from high to low concentration, moving along the gradient. This is different from active transport because active transport does require energy from the cell, or ATP, and goes from areas of low concentration to high concentration, moving against the gradient. Now it's time to enter the animal cell! Everybody sit down and buckle up because our first stop is the nucleolus. The nucleolus is located in the nucleus. This is where the components of the ribosomes are synthesized and assembled. Take a good look because we are now heading for the nucleus. This is the nucleus. The nucleus contains the nucleolus and the chromatin. Generally, the nucleus is the most conspicuous organelle that is found in a eukaryote cell. It also contains most of the genes that control the eukaryote cell. The nucleus is surrounded by the nuclear envelope, which is where we are heading now. The nuclear envelope forms the boundary between the nuclear contents and the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the entire region between the nucleus and the cell membrane. It also consists of the cytosol. The nuclear envelope has many pores and has a double membrane. Between the nucleus and the nuclear envelope, you will find the chromatin. The chromatin consists of DNA and protein. It also condenses down to form chromosomes. If you look into your itinerary, you will see that our next stop is the endoplasmic reticulum, also called the ER. Today you are going to see two regions of the ER. They are the smooth ER and the rough ER. As of right now, we are entering through the rough ER. The rough ER channels proteins to transport vesicles and has attached or bound ribosomes. These bound ribosomes secrete glycoproteins. The rough ER also attaches carbohydrates to some proteins. Now we are traveling through the smooth ER, another region of the endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth ER synthesizes lipids, which also includes phospholipids and steroids. It metabolizes carbohydrates and detoxifies drugs and proteins. The smooth ER is a very important part of the cell because it stores calcium ions and also lacks attached ribosomes. Ribosomes are particles made of RNA and protein. You've already seen some of them. When we were traveling through the rough ER, we saw attached or bound ribosomes. They are the site of synthesis and produce proteins for use outside of the cell or in the cell membrane. Bound ribosomes are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum and or the nuclear envelope. As we travel through the cell, you will also see free ribosomes. Free ribosomes are not attached to anything. They are suspended in the cytosol and are used to produce proteins for use within the cell. They are also the site of synthesis, just like bound ribosomes. If you look out your window, you can see both microtubules and the microfilaments. Both the microtubules and the microfilaments are part of the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton is a network of proteins extending throughout the cytoplasm. It also organizes the cell's structures and activities. The microtubules are used during chromosome movements in the cell division and maintain the structure of the cell's shape. The microfilaments also maintain the cell's shape, but they are used for cell division, muscle construction, and cytoplasmic streaming. We are now leaving the microtubules and the microfilaments, but entering the stomach of the cell, also known as the lysosomes. They are only found in animal cells. You will not see a lysosome in a plant cell. A lysosome is a membranous sac of digestive enzymes that can digest macromolecules. These enzymes can break down proteins, fats, polysaccharides, and nucleic acids. This is a site of cellular respiration. The mitochondria produces energy, or ATP, from sugars, fats, and other fuels. The mitochondria is a very interesting organelle because it is not part of the endomembrane system, but it has a double membrane. It also has proteins that are made from free ribosomes, and it also contains its own circular DNA. Next on our journey, we are going to be looking at vesicles and vacuoles. The transport vesicles are way smaller than the vacuole. It is used to carry ER products to the Golgi. Used to store and move materials around the cell, the vacuole has a membrane-bound sac that is larger than the vesicle. The Golgi apparatus consists of flattened membranous sacs. It also retrieves transport vesicles from the ER. The Golgi modifies ER products, produces certain molecules, and also produces lysosomes and secretory vesicles. Sadly to say, this is our last stop. The centricles. The centricles are only found in animal cells. They consist of microtubules in a 9-to-0 arrangement that are involved in cell division. Now we are leaving the animal cell, but on our way out, I need to tell you about a few more things. First, you should also know that flagella are tail-like projections that have a snake-like motion. There are normally only 1 to 2 to an organism. Cilia are hair-like projections on the flagella that have an aura-like motion. The flagella and cilia differ in their beating patterns, which are controlled by microtubules. Flagella is only found in men. Women do not have any flagella. And second, I want you to know that the cell theory has 3 principles. They are that all organisms are made of cells, all cells are produced by other living cells, and that the cell is the basic unit of life. Many scientists also contributed to the cell theory. Well, that's the end of our tour. I really hope that you learned a lot about the animal cell, and maybe next time we will tour through a plant cell in order to see the chloroplast and the cell wall.